Something strange is happening at the World Cup. Something that was never supposed to become a story. Something that was sold to the world as a simple act of compassion, a small pause, a sip of water, a moment of mercy under a blazing sun. But beneath that quiet gesture, beneath those innocent 2 minutes of stillness on the pitch, a storm has erupted that nobody saw coming. A storm that has divided players, enraged fans, energized coaches, alarmed doctors, and quietly, almost invisibly, enriched an industry worth billions. And the deeper you look, the more uncomfortable the truth becomes. FIFA called them mandatory hydration breaks, a safety measure, a humane response to brutal temperatures, to humid stadiums, to athletes pushing their bodies past what human physiology was ever designed to handle. On paper, it sounded noble. On paper, it sounded overdue. On paper, it sounded like football finally catching up to science. But what is unfolding inside this tournament is not what was promised on paper. What is unfolding is one of the most heated, most layered, most revealing debates in modern football history. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why a 2-minute water break has become the most controversial decision of the entire World Cup. Stay with us. Subscribe, turn on notifications, because what's coming peels back a curtain most viewers will never even realize was there. Here is the central contradiction. FIFA insists the breaks exist to protect players. Players themselves are split. Doctors say the breaks aren't even long enough. Fans say the breaks are killing the soul of the game. Coaches say the breaks are the greatest tactical gift football has ever handed them. And broadcasters are saying nothing at all. Because broadcasters are too busy counting the money. Think about that for a moment. One rule, 5 completely different realities. And somewhere inside that contradiction lies a truth FIFA would prefer you never discover. Let's begin with the medical voices, the people whose entire careers exist to keep athletes alive. Sports physicians across multiple federations have stated clearly and repeatedly that elite footballers competing in extreme heat are operating on the edge of catastrophic physiological failure. Core body temperatures climbing past dangerous thresholds. Heart rates pushed into zones that, sustained too long, can trigger collapse. Dehydration levels that impair not just performance, but judgment, vision, coordination, even consciousness. Doctors have watched players stagger off pitches in past tournaments, eyes glazed, legs unresponsive, bodies giving up before pride would allow them to. And so when FIFA introduced these mandatory breaks, the medical community didn't applaud. They asked why it took this long. They asked why the breaks aren't longer. They asked why hydration pauses are still treated as a concession rather than a standard. To them, the debate isn't whether the breaks should exist. The debate is why football waited until bodies started failing before listening. But ask the players and the picture fractures immediately. Some footballers, especially those competing in the hottest venues, have welcomed the pauses, calling them lifesavers, calling them the difference between finishing a match and being carried off it. Yet others, particularly stars accustomed to cooler European leagues, are openly frustrated. They argue the breaks disrupt rhythm, kill momentum, interrupt the flow they've spent entire careers learning to ride. They argue that a team building pressure, surging forward, hunting a goal, should not be stopped because a thermometer in a press box ticked past a number. They argue these pauses should be reserved only for extreme, undeniable, dangerous heat, not applied blanket style across every match, every venue, every climate. And here lies the first crack in FIFA's narrative. Because if even the athletes the rule was designed to protect cannot agree it protects them, what exactly is this rule really for? Now turn to the stands. Turn to the millions watching from sofas, from sports bars, from packed plazas across continents. Ask the fans, and the answer is almost unanimous. They hate it. They hate the interruption. They hate the artificial pause. They hate watching a thrilling counterattack, a building wave of pressure, a tension so thick you could cut it with a blade, only for a whistle to blow, for players to jog to the sideline, for the broadcast to cut away, and for the spell to be shattered. Football, fans argue, is not a stop-start sport. Football is flow. Football is rhythm. Football is 90 unbroken minutes of escalating drama. And mandatory hydration breaks, they say, are slicing that drama into commercial-friendly fragments. Listen to the chants in the stadiums when the whistle blows for these pauses. Listen to the groans. Listen to the boos. The fans know something feels wrong. They just can't quite name it yet. But the coaches, they know exactly what these breaks are. And they are smiling. Because for a coach, 2 extra minutes in the middle of a half is not an inconvenience. It is a weapon. It is a chance to reorganize a back line that's been overrun. It is a chance to whisper a new instruction into a captain's ear. It is a chance to switch a marking assignment, change a pressing trigger, calm a panicking midfielder, reset the emotional temperature of an entire team. In a sport where managers traditionally get one halftime talk and a handful of frantic touchline shouts, these hydration breaks have quietly become unofficial tactical timeouts. Coaches who once would have killed for 30 extra seconds of communication now receive 2 full minutes, twice a match, every match, handed to them on a silver platter. And the tactical shifts that have followed these breaks have already swung the outcomes of multiple matches in this tournament. Think about that. A rule sold as player safety is rewriting the strategic fabric of the sport itself. Before we go deeper, pause for 1 second, because what you're about to hear is the part FIFA absolutely does not want trending. If you followed this far, hit subscribe, turn notifications on, because the next layer of this story changes everything. It's the layer nobody at the press conferences mentions. It's the layer that turns a health initiative into something far colder, far more calculated, far more profitable. Across the entire World Cup, when you add up every mandatory hydration break, across every match, across every stage, the total comes to roughly 10 extra hours of premium broadcast time. 10 hours. 10 hours of the most valuable advertising real estate on planet Earth. 10 hours where global audiences, hundreds of millions strong, are sitting captive, attention locked, eyes glued, wallets open. 10 hours that did not exist in previous tournaments. 10 hours that broadcasters can now sell at World Cup premium rates to the world's largest brands. Sit with that for a moment. 10 hours of unplanned, unscheduled, gloriously monetizable airtime, carved out of matches in the name of safety, filled conveniently with commercials. And suddenly the picture sharpens. Suddenly the timing makes sense. Suddenly the resistance of fans, the celebration of coaches, the confusion of players, and the cautious approval of doctors all start to look like a magician's misdirection. Everyone arguing about heat, everyone arguing about flow, everyone arguing about tactics, while the real winner sits quietly in a control room, watching ad revenue climb in real time. Because here is the uncomfortable truth football refuses to speak aloud. In modern sport, nothing is ever just about safety. Nothing is ever just about fairness. Nothing is ever just about the game. There is always a second layer. There is always a financial shadow behind every rule change. And the bigger the tournament, the longer that shadow stretches. This is not to say the medical concerns are fake. They are not. The heat is real. The danger is real. Players genuinely have collapsed. Doctors genuinely have warned. The risk to human bodies is genuine, documented, undeniable. But here is the question that should haunt every viewer watching this tournament. If FIFA truly cared only about player welfare, why are the breaks timed so perfectly for commercial slots? Why are the pauses long enough to run multiple advertisements, but, according to medical experts, still not long enough to fully restore hydration? Why is the rule applied uniformly even in matches where temperatures don't justify it? Why does every stoppage cut so cleanly to broadcast partners rather than to extended medical assessments? Why does a safety measure look, sound, and feel so much like a business decision wearing a doctor's coat? Zoom out, and the bigger picture becomes almost unbearable to ignore. The World Cup is no longer just a tournament. It is a global economic event larger than the GDP of entire nations. Every minute of broadcast time is worth millions. Every advertising slot is fought over by corporations that view this tournament as the single greatest marketing opportunity on Earth. And into that machine, FIFA has now inserted 10 additional hours of premium inventory, justified by a humanitarian framing nobody can publicly oppose without sounding heartless. It is, in its own way, a masterpiece of modern sports governance. Protect the players, reward the broadcasters, reshape the tactics, frustrate the fans, and smile through it all because the headlines say safety, even as the spreadsheets say profit. So what do you think? Are these breaks a genuine act of care? An overdue acknowledgement that human bodies have limits? Are they a tactical revolution disguised as a health policy? Are they a betrayal of football's soul, slicing the beautiful game into ad-friendly pieces? Or are they exactly what they appear to be from every angle at once? Safety, strategy, and silent profit, stitched into a single rule that nobody can fully oppose because every faction gets just enough of what it wants. Drop your verdict in the comments. Tell us which side you stand on. Like this video if it made you see the tournament differently. Subscribe so you don't miss what we uncover next. Because the deeper this World Cup goes, the more the cracks beneath its polished surface will show. And remember this. Long after the trophy is lifted, long after the confetti settles, long after the champions are crowned, in modern football, The loudest debates are rarely about what they appear to be. The real game is never only on the pitch. The real game is the one you were never meant to notice.